What strange slash spooky stuff have you seen? Once when I was in the desert, there was a telephone pole. On it looked exactly like a 10-foot tall bird of prey, just eyeing me down. It was about a good 5 minutes of walking, which felt like forever, just to see that it was a transformer that looked weird. None of the other poles had it either. Sounds dumb, but it really did look exactly like a gigantic, human-sized hawk, and the head even seemed to follow you too. Really interesting illusion, since it also hit all the primal parts of the brain that go, "You're about to be fucking eaten by a bird." A year or two later, when I was going to take a picture, it was gone, which adds a strange air to, "It was right there, I tell you." I want real stories, not, "I smelled the rotten shit fart gas, and my best friend was turned into a skinwalker, and then I pulled out that gun from video game and blasted it." Dude, trust me. Late summer of 2020. Bad breakup. Pandemic. Life is falling apart. Plan to cross the Dead Mountains alone. A 3-day hike in the Austrian Alps. First day goes smoothly, if slower than expected. Day 2. The heat ramps up. I'm exhausted. Nausea keeps me from eating enough. The thought of day 3 looms heavy in my mind. Terrain will only be harder from here on out. Nothing but bare rock. The Rotkasher rising up in front of me like an insurmountable wall. Decide to stop early for the day. Plan to set up camp near the scenic mountain lake, pick related. Descend into the valley, flanked by steep walls on either side. Not a soul in sight. Take an absolutely horrible shit. The light is fading fast. Only flattish ground is close to these abandoned shepherd's huts. Finally finish up, with the night closing in fast. Doze off, feeling feverish and exhausted. I shoot up suddenly. There's footsteps circling the tent. They're close. Unzip, crawl out. Nothing but the pitch black staring back. My heart is pounding, weighing the options. After listening intently into the darkness, I lie back down. Footsteps again, then harsh barking echoing through the valley. Sometimes distant, sometimes as if coming directly from the abandoned shacks only meters away. I keep lying there. I accept my fate. The cycle repeats in a vortex of echoing dread. Eventually, I pass out. The morning comes. I wake up, alive. Pack my shit fast. The valley as empty as when I made camp. The still water and deserted huts. I descend, trying hard not to think about what lies behind. A weird one from my family. Be my Aunt Mary in late 70s. Have best friend Peter, a closeted gay man. One day, Peter invites Aunt Mary on a hike. Okay. He's acting kinda weird on drive over/hike. After a while, he has to take a break and sit on a rock overlooking a hill. Tells her that he has a confession. I'm gay.jpg. It was pretty obvious from the get-go, so Aunt Mary isn't surprised. Starts telling him how she knew and loves him for who he is. Emotional slur shit. Peter turns white while she's talking, cuts Mary off, tells her to calmly stand up and make her way back to the car. What the fuck? Come again? Tells her again to get up and walk to the car, and to not turn around. Of course the first thing Aunt Mary does is turn around, the dumb bitch. We love her, folks. A short creature sits maybe 10 yards away from them on another rock, watching them. This is how she described what she saw in her own words. 4 feet tall, gargoyle-esque features with large red eyes. What the fuck? Nope, back to car. Doesn't seem to follow. They drive home. Mary tells the story to me and my sisters as we grow up. It creeps us the fuck out. Fast forward to 2013. Be my sister going to college. Make some /out friends, since she's into hiking/climbing whatnot. One night, friends are sharing in the woods stories. One of her friends tells a story of being on a hike. Describes seeing a short creature watching her. Describes the exact same thing Aunt Mary had seen, down to the gargoyle-looking face and red eyes. Turns out it's the exact same forest that Mary had been in those 40-odd years ago with gay Peter. These are both secondhand stories, mind you, so I unfortunately do not remember where they actually saw the thing. If there's interest, or anyone had similar experiences, I could reach out to one of them and ask for location. We're Jersey based, so maybe the Barrens, but I can't say for sure. Two stories. I'll post one first, two in the next post. Be me, about 16 years old. I was walking down a country road around twilight, not in the US, different country. Come up on this old man walking slowly a few meters ahead of me. As I caught up to him, he slowly turned his face and greeted me. I slowed down to his pace and walked with him for a bit. I remember it felt very oddly warm and very loving for a stranger. Asked me my name, whose family I was. He knew my grandpa who had died in war. Told me his name and where he lived, etc. I walk along, past an old burial ground. There is a gravestone about 5 yards from the path with some flowers, white and yellow daisy-like. Sudden breeze, and the flowers danced wildly, waving in the breeze. I glanced at the gravestone. It had the exact name of the old man I just met, and the village he mentioned he was from. It said he had died 13 years ago. I turned around, walked back along the path to where I left the man, but there was no sign of him. Came back home, told my grandmother. She said she knew the family, and he was a very kind man who had helped our family a lot, and was a mentor to my late grandfather. To this day, when I go back to visit my old country, I take flowers to his grave, and sit there for a while, even though I never knew the man. Story 2. First one in post above. Be me, just under 18 years old. Had a very strange dream one night. I was in some sort of foresty area and go down these steps into a sort of space. Technically, if I went down the steps, it is underground, but it didn't feel like it. Felt airy. There's a sort of surreal light and air. Not exactly foggy, but sort of. I see some statuettes randomly lined up in this cave. Some sort of stone idols. Suddenly, an old dude appears and says, "Oh, you're here. We were waiting for you." His behavior gave me a vibe like he was some kind of great-grandfather ancestor of mine. I have no recollection of what he told me, but somehow I was left with the impression that these idols were important, and that somehow I was supposed to know about them. I sort of drifted off in the dream after that. Woke up, but somehow this stayed in my mind. I was having dinner with my mom and her mom, my grandmother. Well, no shit, and told them about this dream. Both of them turned completely ashen-faced when they heard it. It turned out that my uncle, mom's oldest brother, had exactly the same dream when he was my age. I spoke to my uncle a few days later and compared what he saw with mine, and everything seemed to be exactly the same. The steps going down, the idols, the old man, and even, "Oh, you're here. We were waiting for you." It had been decades since my uncle had the dream, and he said it still haunts his mind, as it does mine now. I still have no idea what it all means. This was around 4 years ago, and took place in Mendocino National Forest. Anyone from this region of California knows that there's a whole lot of tweakers, and these tweakers like to spend time in the woods. I've usually not had any problems, but let's just say I wouldn't want to be a solo woman out there. However, it's a gorgeous forest, and if you know where to look, you can find solitude. Pictured as the airstrip north of Lake Pillsbury from a different trip to this forest. I was deep in the woods with a buddy of mine. I'll call David. We were camped off of a dirt road, way off of the beaten path, and we'd had to creep up it real slow. It was around 1 a.m., and David was getting ready for bed in the tent, while I stowed some gear in the truck, which was between me and the road at the moment, with the tent behind me. I paused, thinking I was hearing something. It sounded like an engine, and really squeaky shocks. A little unnerving at 1 a.m. this deep in the woods, but I thought to myself that it's public land, and if people want to do hood rat shit out here in the middle of the night, then they've got a right to. My attitude towards whoever these people were changed pretty quickly when I spotted them. They were creeping up the road, lights out, towards our camp. Instinctively, I turned off my headlamp just before they came around the bend into the clearing where we were, and I just watched them from behind the truck. My rifle was leaning up against the wheel. I hear David go, "What the fuck?" inside the tent and start shuffling around, no doubt looking for his pistol. At this point, I'm at about DEFCON 2. If someone pulled up on me with their lights on, I might have been a little more charitable, but the fact that they rolled up on me lights out in the middle of the night was setting off some alarm bells. Two dudes exit the truck and start walking towards us. They're skinny, but I can't see much more than that, as the moonlight is really faint. They've got lights and something else in each hand. Not sure what, but I didn't want to find out. In that moment, I decided it was now or never. I came out from behind the truck, holding my rifle by the receiver in my right hand, and M1 carbine for all the case slurs in this thread. In the excitement, I forgot to turn my headlamp on like a total slur. "What's up?" I asked, trying not to sound either threatening or scared, probably failing at both. They freeze for a second, then without a word turn around, get back in the truck, and drive off slowly, continuing up the road. David finally extricates himself from the tent and asks what the fuck just happened, and I tell him. It's at this point that we realize the truck drove up the road, maybe another 30 seconds before the engine just stopped. We weren't sure if it was just being muffled by the brush or if they had killed it. Either way, we were majorly sketched out and decided to call it quits. We basically just picked up the tent and tossed it in the truck bed and wedged it in with some gearboxes before beginning the long drive home. My rifle was in my lap, and David had his pistol in his coat pocket. We bumped down the dirt road, faster than we probably should have, for around 2 hours before finally exiting the woods, the whole time checking over our shoulders for the truck. We only stopped to pull over at a rest stop, and quickly cased the weapons before continuing home. We got there around 6 in the morning. Overreaction? Probably, in retrospect. But at the same time, it seemed pretty sketch. I've got a couple stories. Camping in the BLM land, just outside of the Joshua Tree National Park. It's probably 10 p.m., and we're all in bed getting ready for an early start. Suddenly I hear it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps. I look over at my friends wordlessly. Their eyes are wide open, and they hear it too. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The footsteps sound human, like someone slowly moving towards us. Very quiet, intentionally soft steps. To me, they sound like bare feet. Wait, how do you know what bare feet sound like? Crunch, crunch. This fucking thing must be mere inches away from the tent at this point. Despite the softness of the steps, they're definitely in twos and sound human-like and large. We grab the knife, and all three rush out the tent door with flashlights. No one around. We scan the desert, and it's just flat gravel and creosote. Another time, in Kings Canyon, hiking the loop around Zumwalt Meadow. My friends are both on mushrooms. I am not. We pass two Nordic-looking identical twins. Tall, long, straight, bright blonde hair. Matching outfits of red tracksuits. They walk past us wordlessly, moving in the opposite direction. Friends comment on how they were identical twins. Think nothing of it. Walk 5 minutes further down the trail. The exact same identical twins pass us, moving in the opposite direction once again. What the fuck? The entire center of the meadow is a bog. The loop is over a mile long. They sort of sneer at us as they pass the second time. I'm instantly taken aback. How the fuck is this even possible, unless they literally sprinted around the entire meadow? Both of my friends on mushrooms are so high they don't even realize we passed the same people twice somehow. I start mildly freaking out, trying to explain to them what just happened. This one's not as spooky, but cooking bacon at 1 a.m. Hear a deep growl from 20 feet away, but can't see the source. Throw a rock towards it. Eat bacon in the tent. Well, I'm having nightmares now. Thank you for watching. This is Echoes of Static, where the noise fades and the stories remain. Farewell, until next time.